Hey everybody, it's Josh Rutledge, your co-host for FearScape Paranormal Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to support us more, please head over to our website, fearscapepodcast.com. There you can click on store and browse some really awesome t-shirts and maybe pick a couple up, or even go to our Patreon page and see how you can support us monthly. We love bringing you awesome content just as much as you like listening to it. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, Josh here. Do you feel like mainstream options for things such as yoga, meditation, or documentaries and films meant to expand your mind are lacking? Have you heard of Gaia? Gaia is the largest resource of consciousness expanding videos. Both Stefan and I have watched several of the series, documentaries, and films available on topics such as the secret space program, channeling interdimensional beings, and alien encounters. We're just now exploring the over 8,000 films, shows, and classes available to stream on your favorite devices. To get your 10-day free trial of Gaia, go to fearscapepodcast.com/Gaia offer. Again, that's fearscapepodcast.com/GAIA offer.
Hello, I'm so glad you could join us. I hope you brought your blanket to hide under. The spooky crew is going to discuss things and events from other realms. Ghosts, cryptids, aliens. Be sure to hold your blanket extra tight as the boys take you deep into the FearScape.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another frightening episode of FearScape Paranormal Podcast. We are on the road to episode 100. That's right, 100 amazing, fun episodes of FearScape to make you stay up late and hold those blankets extra tight. Well, since we are on the road to 100, which will premiere sometime in early October, we're going to dig deep into the archives to when FearScape had a radio show called FearScape FM. As you recall, it was myself, Stefan, and host Brad McQueary. And these episodes will show you what fun we had while we were on the radio. So until then, we'll see you at 100.
The following program is presented for entertainment purposes. WCHQ does not necessarily endorse the ideas presented.
FearScape is a program that explores the legends and lore around many creepy and scary things. Information is researched and presented in an entertainment fashion and is presented based off of what we found. Legends have a way of changing over time, so
beware. FearScape.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to FearScape FM. That's right, here on WCHQ 100.9 FM, your home for all things spooky, ooky, looky, dooky. Well, not dooky, that's
we don't want
FCC unapproved. But no, thank you guys so much for tuning in to your favorite paranormal radio show. We have a great show because Brad is back.
Hey, guys.
That's
We got
right.
the horns.
Brad, you are back from your vacay,
Yeah.
and we are so happy to have you back, except for Ed, who's sad because now he's not secondary co-host. But however, we decided, forget it, let's bring Ed back for this episode, because what we're going to be talking about, Ed was there.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
And it's also so I can be here to pass the baton back to Brad.
But no, we have a very, very special episode. We are covering our first Southern Indiana case.
Yep.
Well,
no, technically not the first, because we had the Witch's Castle.
Oh, that's true. This is our second topic on Southern Indiana.
But this is one we personally experienced.
Right. We're going to be talking today about the Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana. And the reason why we're talking about it, besides just being a cool topic, is that for my 40th birthday, my wife surprised me and a bunch of my friends taking me to the Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana to spend the night ghost hunting. And I didn't know anybody was going to be there, but I opened my eyes, and there's two of my good buddies, Brad and Ed, sitting there, as well as a bunch of other people. But we had a great time, and we're going to be talking about the Whispers Estate.
So
not only, we're going to be talking about the history and everything, but our experiences.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick, brief history, and then this needs to be a 90-minute, 2-hour episode, because what we experienced there, it goes beyond what we know as reality. It gets spiritual.
I mean, we're cutting straight through creepy catch-up, because this whole episode is creepy catch-up. We're cutting through spooky news.
I'm not even getting my T-shirts back from Ed.
Yeah, he's
not
even
grabbing those.
Not getting his shoes or anything.
No.
And I'm going to start, before you start the research on this, we're going to do some research first, and then we'll talk about our personal stories. But I just want to say, on their website, my favorite part is it says, "Warning, due to the high probability of intense paranormal activity, persons with health conditions and pregnant women should consider other venues."
Yep. And I get it.
Yep. After spending the night there, agreed. Yeah. Seriously, don't.
So let's go ahead and dive right into a brief history on the house.
All right, let's go.
So, from the earliest records they can find, Whispers Estate was built in 1894. Now, in 1899 or 1901, depending on which source you use for reference, Dr. John and Jesse Gibbons purchased the house from the original owners, Dr. George and Sarah White. Dr. John and Jesse Gibbons reportedly adopted abandoned/orphaned children. One of these children, a 10-year-old girl named Rachel, started a fire in the front parlor, being badly burned, and died 2 days later in one of the upstairs bedrooms. But you can still hear and sometimes see her running around the house today. A 10-month infant named Elizabeth died in the master bedroom of unknown causes, but there's still the scent of baby powder, and you can sometimes still hear her cries. Now, also there's another spirit by the name of Jesse. Jesse died in the same bedroom after a bout with double pneumonia. Guests sleeping in the front room often awake to labored breathing and coughing. Some even report feeling as if someone is sitting on their chest. The most common paranormal activity in this room is the closet doorknob will frequently jiggle for a few moments, stop suddenly, and then the closet door will pop open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it will.
The maximum reported count for repeatable occurrences is 5 within a couple of minutes. This, of course, required a person's in the room to close the door each time.
I mean, I'll tell you right now. Yeah, we're not getting into it, but yeah, that room is crazy. And I think they even told us about another person named Gary in there as well. Do you remember that?
I don't recall very many names. I remember Jesse, but
it was something like a guy had water on the brain or something like that, and ended up falling down the stairs to his death.
That was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
it was like
right.
a young adult, but yeah, so that one's on there as well. I noticed that they don't talk about that on there because that's one of the newer ones they found out.
Yeah. So Dr. Gibbons was a prominent doctor in town, having his office in the first floor rooms in the house. Given the time period and medical field, it is likely many patients died there during his practice of 26 years. Stories of subsequent owners/occupants suggest others have encountered their own demise, such as a gentleman in the 50s/60s that died in the upstairs bathroom. A young boy that died from falling down the front stairs recently spoke with the relatives of this little boy, got a name and keywords.
There it
and
is.
more.
That one's Gary.
So that's the one they're just now really finding out about.
Yeah, and the guy in the bathroom, they said, slipped and fell and broke his neck.
Yep. In 2006, the previous owner bought the house after being vacant for a few years. During its restoration, strange activity started to occur. Activity in the house continued and even increased, subsequently earning the name Whispers Estate, after guests repeatedly reported hearing disembodied voices whispering in their ears.
No, that doesn't happen at all there.
No, not in the slightest. The current owner first visited the house in September of 2007 as part of an event night for the Mid-South Paranormal Convention. 5.5 hours into the investigation, not a damn thing had occurred. Then, without warning, the fit hit the shan, so to speak, and they almost soiled themselves twice that night. They returned almost every other weekend for the next 4 months, at which point they contacted the then owner about purchasing the house. Since 2006, the house has been investigated by numerous paranormal groups, as well as visited by psychics and demonologists. It has been featured on numerous TV shows, multiple documentaries, specials, radio shows, and it goes on and on.
You know, Ed was asking about that,
including
like,
one more radio show right here.
Yeah, would you buy a murder house, or would you buy a haunted house?
This was actually a topic that I was watching on Dr. Oz just yesterday, and he was talking about the house that the Ramseys lived, Jean Benet.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about Jeffrey Dahmer's old bachelor pad out in the woods, the Amityville house in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about now, with your full knowledge of you knowing that this house had a grisly, gruesome, murderous past, would you intentionally buy it, live in it?
See, I think I would buy it, but not with the intention of being a permanent resident in it.
See, that's exactly what I said. I would buy it to use it as a tourist trap, but there ain't no way I'm buying it to make my family's house.
No, not in the slightest.
I believe way too much into this. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
He actually had like real estate people on talking about these houses being up for sale. They're on the market.
Oh, they are. They are. Stardust Ranch. That's another one.
Sold for what, like $1.6 million or something? Crazy.
And also, you can look this up later. I sent a link to Stefan a little while back. There's actually a murder mansion that exists right here in Louisville.
We're going to find it.
And it's been up for sale for a while now.
We're going to investigate it.
But I guess if you guys want to research that later, we can get into that.
Thanks, Ed. I like the he says we like he's somebody.
Stop giving me homework, Ed.
All right, what else we got?
So there are supposedly 4 graves in the backyard, not including what psychics have called a pit grave, which they say contain amputated limbs, internal organs, aborted fetuses, and more from the time of the doctor's practice.
Wow.
There is reportedly a portal/vortex which runs up through the house from the front parlor into the 3rd floor room.
Yep.
We experienced that.
Yep.
The room in the attic is said to be the heart of the house. Guests that are brave enough to sleep in the 3rd floor room report horrible nightmares and sometimes hear something trying to get in the room via the doorknob jiggling. Visitors have reported sighting a shadow which has been known as Big Black, an entity that psychics say is not of this world. While most commonly encountered in the doctor's room, it has been seen throughout the house.
Oh, I wonder.
Creeper?
If that's what we saw, too. Okay, go on. Continue.
Guests have experienced earthquake-like tremors while in the doctor's bathroom. No, not those kind of tremors. We're referring to tremors of a paranormal origin.
Oh, well,
it's not your tum-tum.
We had a tremor, for sure, right next to it in that room where the bed moved, man.
Save it.
Sorry,
Save it.
I'm pumped, man.
EVP sessions have revealed many entities in the house at any given time, but you don't always need recording equipment to hear these disembodied voices at Whispers Estates. Many young women have reported hearing Dr. Gibbons whispering in their ears, as well as sometimes grabbing/groping them. Guests claim to see the beds and couches visibly shake, while still others sleeping on beds and couches have reported having them shake violently. Often guests decide they'd rather sleep as close to the front door as possible, which a couple of your friends did do.
They did, yeah.
Investigators often do rounds throughout the house at different times throughout a night, sometimes upon leaving the servants' quarters just after the last person exits the room. The solid, heavy wooden door slams with unrestrained force by an unseen presence. There are times when guests notice pleasant smells of baby powder drift through the house, but the scent of pungent cologne, aftershave, cigar, tobacco, rancid meat, cabbage, dirty medical bandages, and more are not uncommon. Mm-hmm. Guests have reported their recording camcorders being moved by an unseen presence, thereby disturbing the viewpoint of the intended target. And remember, if you're not completely freaked out and think you have what it takes to spend a night here, feel free to contact Whispering Estates on their website at whisperestates.com.
Yeah, and we will give you way more. All this information came from whispersestate.com. They were absolutely phenomenal
Great
to
hosts.
us. We had Gwen and Sandra.
I think they're their general manager. Of the
Yeah,
house.
they were there with us. They were incredibly knowledgeable, just fantastic people, absolutely fantastic. And holy moly, some of this stuff I hadn't even read, and I'm like, yep. And we didn't even get to go into the slave quarters because it was off limits.
Yeah, because of a fire. We couldn't go into it.
So we didn't get to go into the slave quarters, which now I'm like, oh man, there was stuff associated there.
Well, we were in the servant quarters, which was right next to those quarters. So we were kind of near it.
Yeah. Oh man.
And I only spent about 4 hours in the house because I had to leave and go to work the next day.
Yeah, you and
so-
I had a fun experience. For
Yeah,
sure.
we did.
Yeah, we'll do that so quickly because the first thing that happened was on the tour.
Yeah, the tour.
So the first thing they do is we get there, we unload all of our stuff.
And real quick, I just want to say
wait a minute.
we are not going to exaggerate any of this. What
Well-
we're about to tell you is what actually happened.
Well, wait a minute. Before you even start there, before
Great, here we go.
that moment when you guys went out to the cars to get your stuff, I saw a black creeper like wisp around the corner from the front door. I already saw something.
Oh, nice.
Right there, wisping by the door.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
there's two black entities that are there. Of course, they talked about Big Black, which I think we saw in the basement.
I think
That
we
was
saw
the
the basement,
first
too.
thing that
And then
I
there's
saw.
the Creeper. And the Creeper, if you guys have heard me talk about either here or on the podcast, I don't remember which, one of the night hags that I told you I had that hung from my ceiling fan and was very short at the bottom but had very long arms. That's
Yeah.
exactly the picture they showed us that people have said the Creeper looked like. And I freaked out. I was like, well, I'm in for it tonight.
Well,
Like
something interesting that that our hosts were telling us about is that the house is intelligent, and in terms of you're not here by accident.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as coincidence when it comes to the paranormal. All these people,
Well,
all of you are here at this one time, not just to celebrate somebody's
Well,
birthday.
his wife made a reservation though. so-
But that's not just coincident.
Yeah, it's not
that all these
coincidence.
people were brought together at once. Like it was the intent of the paranormal world to bring us together.
yeah, because
And
there
we'll
were
get
people
into it, why.
that Sarah invited that couldn't come.
Yeah,
or
like all of a
didn't
sudden
wanna
they
come.
just like fell ill or canceled
got-
last minute.
or got scared like Brad's wife.
Dude, I don't blame her.
No, after that, I'm like, y'all are be glad.
I honestly did not leave because I had to get up for work early. The
Yeah,
next
you
day.
had a
Just-
reason.
Yeah.
I had to go, but I would have stayed in that house.
Yeah, and so we had a really interesting group of people because my sister was there, whom you all have heard her listener stories. She actually came down, and she is incredibly psychic. And her and I have had so many ghost experiences, as well as my best friend Santosh David Smith, who also him and I have had many spiritual paranormal experiences through the years, and he's a good friend with Trisha as well. So mostly through the whole night, for the good 90% of the night, it was me, Brad, Trisha, and David. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you immediately saw something,
Yeah.
and then we go on our tour.
Yeah.
Well, even before the tour started, I mean, you know, all throughout the night, I was fixated on that staircase.
Yeah.
Just constantly walking away from the group, just shining my flashlight.
Oh yeah, everybody, and they talk about that. Everybody that a lot of people see, because there's also a documentary we watched. What is the name of that documentary? It just came out. It's called When the Walls Talk, the Whispers Estate documentary by
so
Crimson
good.
Night Productions. It
So
just
good.
dropped on Amazon Prime for free. I highly recommend watching it. Both Gwen and Sandra are on there for a minute. You'll get to see them and see all the stuff we talked about.
I just think it's funny that we didn't find that documentary until after we
Oh
got
yeah,
done.
oh yeah. I whenever I'm looking for something, if we're researching or something like that, I hit up my Amazon Fire Stick. It's got one of those microphone things, so I go Whispers Estate, you know.
Oh, you got one of them too, huh?
Boom.
And then it said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. But yeah, so this doc is there, and a lot of people in the documentary talks a lot about the staircase as well.
I was just fixated because I kept seeing things out of the corner of my eye. I kept hearing things. So, you know, like you all would just like be over at that table in the dining room, like, you know, having snacks and stuff. I'm walking away from the group and just shining my light up there, just looking for whatever I can see because I'm fixated. In fact, that's the first place that we went to once we broke away from the tour group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get through the
We'll
tour
get
real
we'll get
quick.
to that though.
Yeah, the tour will be short because only really one thing happened on the tour. But it's interesting if you think about it because, in my opinion, the two most haunted rooms in the house were the red room and the master bedroom.
I would say the entire attic.
Yeah, the
from
entire
our
attic.
experiences up there.
Sure. But anyways, that's where that portal is supposed to sit, right above the parlor.
Mm-hmm.
So we get upstairs. You know, we went into the other rooms and stuff. She's telling us about it. You know, overall creepy feeling. But we get into that big bedroom upstairs where Jesse was, and you know, all those things, and the little nursery, which happened to be inside this big old closet with which is the closet that's supposed to open up all the time and things like that. Well, she's walking over because she's like, oh, we just got new windows, right? And so, you know, she's still human, so she's excited because the house got new windows.
Oh
and
yeah,
things
she was
like
so
that.
excited for those windows.
And she wanted to see it. She hadn't seen the one in that room yet. So she walks over to there, and I jump back 20 feet because I see a full white hand reach out, and then I go, ah! And it whips back underneath the bed, like right by her foot. And I already had this weird feeling that something was under the bed. And even Gwen jumped back. She's like, who? What'd you see? What? Oh, okay. And, you know, so we're all shining under there. There's nothing there. And I'm not nuts. I wasn't expecting anything on a tour. I was waiting until they left because it's still sunny out.
Yeah.
Like the sun hadn't set completely yet, though the shades were drawn. But yeah, I saw a full hand just slide out from under the bed and then reach back in. And I was like, boy, we are in for something tonight. And I'm already pumped because, like, I was, you know, and I kind of went in kind of going, okay, I'd never done this before. I'd never done a real, like, stay at a haunted house type thing. I've just had experiences at the homes in the old Louisville that were haunted. And so I was ready to go, man. I was freaking out, ready to go. So it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I noticed the energy in the house almost immediately once we all got in a group.
Gosh, it was palatable.
I started noticing a pressure on me. So I've realized recently, and you've been kind of guiding me through this, Stefan, I've noticed I'm very, very sensitive to this stuff. And when we were doing the tour, David was next to me, and David's a very loud, outgoing individual, and he'll say things sometimes that he doesn't mean in a negative way, just trying to make conversation. So we're in, it was the doctor's exam room, and I just started getting angry. I started getting mad. I did not like him. I wanted him out of the house. I started feeling furious. I wanted to rip him apart and throw him out the front door. And then as we're leaving that room, one of the guides goes, yeah, you know, people experience rage in that room and they feel like stuff stabbing them in the eye. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what's happening to me. Once we exited that room, headed upstairs, I started feeling better. And then just throughout the whole night, like that place it got to me.
Well, and the energy got thicker and thicker the further you went into this house.
Yeah.
It was intense. And so, you know, we did the rest of the tour, which was super cool.
I know that when we first walked into that master bedroom there, I know you, me, your sister, we all sort of felt it all together at the same time.
Oh, yeah. There was something in there, and it showed its hand.
Yeah. It definitely showed its hand. I didn't see the end, but I just know that between you, me, and her, we were sort of like, ooh, do you feel that?
Already.
It was already like a heavy weight in the atmosphere.
But yeah, she took us through and kind of shared all the stories we just talked about and everything. And then they have a little room where they go, and they're there for emergency reasons and things like that.
They called it the Harry Potter room.
Harry Potter room. And it's just basically a room with a bed and a TV, and they hang out all night. But it's pretty cool. It reminded me of Columbia and Magenta in Rocky Horror Picture Show, where they're just watching Janet and Brad have fun with Dr. Frankenfurter. But anyways, so at this point, they leave us to ourselves, and we're kind of just chit-chatting. We're trying to decide if we want to do Ouija board, if we want to do tarot, if we want to do different things, and everybody's kind of chit-chatting, and, well, you guys went off.
Yeah.
And so what happened with you guys?
Well, first of all, we went into, not Rachel's room, it was that first bedroom.
Yeah, we went into
the master bedroom.
The master bedroom. Yeah. And you did some mirror gazing.
Yeah, so to anybody that doesn't know what mirror gazing is looking into a mirror in the dark with like a flickering low light, and it allows you to let your mind wander and essentially let you see into the veil. I like to call it the veil.
Yeah,
so
or
let you
even
see
your
beyond
own
the veil.
soul.
Or your own soul.
Because, there was like a couple ways they said to do it. You could do like the 3D image thing where it makes it look like you have 3 eyes and 2 faces, or do the just kind of slowly, squint your eyes, kind of make it fuzzy.
And the really brave, you could just go completely lights out, which we'll talk about.
Yeah,
when we did that.
And there's different ways to do it. Mirror gazing is one that I'm, there's different ways of looking for things like that, but also mirror gazing or scrying is a way to, tell the future. Nostradamus did a lot of scrying, looking into watery surfaces or into mirrored surfaces to see what he could see. So
Ed, did you do the gazing first, or was it me?
No, you were the only one who did the gazing.
Okay. So
I'm brave, but I'm not brave enough to do mirror gazing.
I'm surprised I did it later on. We'll talk about that. So
what you experienced something that really
it messed me up. Like I came out of the room crying. Like I was trying to explain it to you. So I'm sitting in front of the mirror, and they tell you to do it by yourself, nobody in the room. But I'm not comfortable with the house yet, so Ed's in there with me. I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of seeing some shadows, but nothing's really happening. So I'm like, Ed, I need you to leave the room, but stay outside the door just in case. If you hear me yelling, come in.
Which I was like, oh, great. Now I'm going out in this dark hallway by myself.
Well, you had a flashlight, dude.
Who cares, dude? I could not ever go anywhere by myself. I held my pee and poop all night long because I wasn't going into any of those bathrooms until we all gathered around the upstairs bathroom and I went in and peed real quick. That was the only time.
So one thing they say about mirror gazing is it either brings out like parts of you, it brings out like people past, present. It just lets you see things, lets you get into that veil. So I'm sitting there staring into it. Nothing's happening, and I decide to just let the light go down as dim as possible. And I start seeing a shape form behind me, kind of off towards the corner where Ed had been standing. And I'm like, okay, so this is happening. I'm just going to let it happen. Let's see what comes out of this. And then as the shape got closer, the features started becoming more prominent, more decisive. I realized who I was seeing. And it took me a minute to accept what I was seeing. And it was my dad. And to those who don't know, my dad passed away this year is 17 years. And when he came through, and also what people don't know is I got no closure when my dad passed because it was very sudden and him and I were fighting when it happened. So he came through and, he put his hand on my shoulder. And like the second I felt the hand on my shoulder, I felt this peace. That like, this is your closure, son. You need to move on. You need to stop worrying so much about the past. Move on. Like I felt those words in my head, and then I grabbed my glasses. I turned the candle off. I grabbed my recorder, and I'm like, Ed, I'm coming out. And I came out, and I had to explain it to him, and I'm like, I saw this, and Ed's like, oh crap.
Well,
you ready to go in Rachel's room?
You brought up something that. Paranormal stuff for people is therapy.
It is.
It is a way for us to seek therapy and guidance from those that have passed on.
I mean, because humans don't like me, so maybe the paranormal.
Do you feel like you've gotten that closure now? I mean,
when the Saturday after the investigation, I went home and slept for like 7 hours, and then Caitlin and I had a play to go to that night, and we were sitting. We went to Bud's, which is one of our sponsors for the festival this year. And we were just sitting down having dinner before the play, and she's like, you seem different. Like, what happened last night? And I started talking to her and explaining it to her, and she's like, I think you got your closure because this is the most calm and just peaceful I've seen you in a long time. And I'm like, I think I did.
Amazing with all the chaos that happened after.
It's amazing, yeah.
Shoo-wee, deputy dog.
Although there was a moment when you did kind of like frighten me for just like a second because I don't.
Brad does that very well.
I don't know what goes on.
He's a lunger.
It's because I don't know what goes on with mirror gazing. and I've seen a lot of movies, so I just expect like spirits to inhabit people's bodies.
Yeah.
And I just remember there was that moment that you looked at me right after this had happened, and you almost looked crazy. You're just like.
Oh, we'll talk about something that happened.
You're like, you look kind of crazy. You're like, do you want to go up and look at the attic?
So we'll skip Rachel's room because nothing happened in there.
Just the juicy stuff.
We did go into Rachel's room for a minute. We did try to maybe coax her out to play a little bit, but just nothing.
Oh, she got me later. Don't worry.
So then you and I went up to the attic.
We
went into the red room first.
Now this is where things got interesting for us.
Yeah. So we went to the red room first, and we sat there because this is the quote-unquote heart of the house.
Yeah.
This is where the portal ends or begins or however you want to see it. So we're sitting in there. We go lights out, but it's still somewhat bright outside, so we still have light in the room. And some. And we're hearing like footsteps in the corridor, but we're not really experiencing anything.
Yeah, and I will remind listeners that literally everyone was downstairs but you two.
Yes. This was 2 stories
because
below
we were
us.
kind of doing last-minute gifts for me and things like that, and so everyone was we were all kind of just chit-chatting, deciding what we do, and you guys were doing your thing. So literally no one else was up there with you guys. Just wanted to point that out.
Just us two.
And I did EVP sessions. I haven't reviewed them yet because I'm not ready to review them yet.
Oh, man, I was hoping that you had already done that.
By next episode, I'll have them reviewed, and we can go over those.
Yeah, those can be part of Creepy Catch-Up, because I've got some EVP sessions. I've only listened to one.
Did you get anything?
Yes.
Sweet.
The breathing.
Oh, you did get the breathing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well,
it's there.
Look at that. Goosebumps. There they are.
Well, I mean, during our EVP session, we ended up being contacted by a spirit by, I think the name Daniel was in there.
We got a spirit by the name of Daniel who came through to us. And then we didn't really have much else happen. Just weird feelings in that room. We got a...
Well, I mean, I asked him questions, and I was asking him things like, what, do you, I was saying, first of all, we came in not meaning harm or not intruding on your home.
All that stuff.
It's like, but I also asked, do you mean harm to us or our group of friends? And then that word divide came up.
Oh, yeah. Then the word said divide, and we're like, okay, so it wants to divide us.
So to give somebody an idea of what happened, there's a really great app online, and what it does is it runs an EVP sesh as well, and if it picks up words, it shows it digitally, and so that's what you guys are talking about, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And my story next, we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah. So we got divide, and we're like, okay, some stuff's going on, and we got up. We're about to leave the red room, and I'm like...
But then you're drawn to the seance room.
I am drawn to the seance room, which is not going to be the last time I'm drawn to the seance room. So we get drawn to the seance room. We sit down around the table that's in there, and we just go lights out. I set the phone down, and we start communicating. You start asking questions again, and we're like, who do you not like? And the name Parker came up, and we were like... Wait, we know a Parker. Isn't that Parker? And the second we heard Parker, we were like, okay, maybe it's time to go. And then my phone, on its own, shifted across the table a little bit. And we were like, yep, it's time to get out.
Trying to get out of here.
Yeah.
Your phone had some movement later
a few
on.
times.
Yeah, interesting.
But I think that's when you and I were like, all right, cool, peace.
We got out. But I'll tell you what, I mean, for the remainder of the time that I stayed there in the house, and you and I both felt this, it was sort of like a sense of relief after that. At least for me, for a little while, because
just
I was
having some kind of contact.
Because I was no longer. Because after that, I was no longer fixated on the staircase. It was like, okay, I gone up there. I gone up there and seen what was there. So I'm good.
What's interesting is you guys came back down, told us about that. Well, at that point, I had already gotten my gift. David had gotten me this handmade wooden talking board, a Ouija board of types.
Or spirit board.
Yeah. And it was handmade, soldered. It was beautiful. Absolutely phenomenal. He handmade the planchet, the whole 9 yards. And we're like, we got to go to the seance room. And so me, Trisha, and him have been running together for a while. We love doing the spiritual stuff. So we went off on our own and went up there. The Ouija board session wasn't that great. Which that's kind of why we never busted out the Ouija board after that, because where we had our best experiences was with that app. And so not only that, I also had a radio hack ghost box thing, and so we had that going at the same time as we had the app. So we had two things going, so that we were looking for EVP words as well as seeing if they could speak through the ghost box. And so at one point, and my sister, who's psychic, she's like, I hear somebody. There's somebody here. Her name's Jackie. She's got a little kid, and her brother's there, and there's a man in the back, and he saw lots of war. And all of a sudden, on the ghost box, it's like soldier. Like different things like that are happening.
Just a lot of pudding moments.
Yeah, a lot of pudding moments that even skeptics will be like, just coincidence. Well, how about this? So another one, she's like, oh, somebody else is here. I can feel them. They don't live here. And she's like, what's your name? And on the EVP thing, it comes up, it says Brooke Lynn, right? And literally at the exact same moment on the ghost box, it says Brooklyn. Same time. Wow. So it says Brooklyn on the ghost box and says Brooklyn on the EVP digital readout. come on.
You got some pudding right there.
Yeah, come on, man. And so, but we were definitely, it was like, get out, finally, and just different stuff like that. And we were like, all right, let's go.
Was this thing literally telling you get out?
No, this is my sister picking up on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
saying,
hearing
get out,
it.
get out, get out. And so, but we were feeling it. That room is crowded. It's always crowded, and we'll talk about that more. So we get downstairs, and sadly, this is around the time you left.
And now you get to hear
Well,
what goes down.
Can I tell you about what was going down with me on the trip home real quick before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're in Mitchell, Indiana, and unbeknownst to me, this is a small town where everything closes, at 9, 10
Yeah, like
o'clock at
10
night?
or 11,
Yeah.
something like that.
If
Okay,
that.
okay. Now, when we got up to when I got up to Mitchell, Indiana, my car was basically on E, like no gas left in the tank. Guys, there was not a gas station open for miles.
Oh, no.
I drove down I-60 East, Highway I-60 or Highway 60 East on no gas for 30 minutes, and I am just this is open field, middle of nowhere, dark of night.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody coming or going in either direction. I am by myself on this road, and I'm so far down on that gas gauge. I'm freaking out. I'm just like, you talk to your car. It's like, come on, baby, come on, baby, you can do it.
In you.
Come on, just where the hell are the gas stations around here? So yeah, I traveled. I mean, just white knuckling it for 30 minutes, heart just pounding. And I'm just like, please don't stop. Please don't stop. It's like I finally
Please don't stop the music.
I finally make a left turn back into what looks like civilization when I finally find a gas station. At least the pump is on and open, and you can get gas. Oh my God, that was the biggest relief that I had that night, because I was just so scared that I was gonna be caught like out there in the dark at night, middle of nowhere, open fields, nothing.
There it is,
around for
ladies and
miles.
gentlemen. The scariest thing that can ever happen is reality.
Hey, they said that house knows what you're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That house knew what I was afraid of.
Empty tanks and empty wallets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, after you leave, we ordered pizza. And so we're all kind of chit-chatting and eating. And I'm looking over, and Brad's just, like, buried into his coat at the edge of the table, not talking to anybody.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
that house had me.
He did that a lot of the night.
Yep.
That
Like,
house
I'm
had
teaching
me.
him how to shield. Very empathetic to the spirits in the house. Because here's the thing about it. It's not just the famous people in the house. Lots of patients died in that house.
Yeah, there's
that
a lot.
we have no names for, and things like that. I mean, the house was crowded, but we were like, come on, Brad, come with us.
And that's where the adventure of me, you, Trish, and eventually David
Yeah,
started.
because the other people, Sarah and her brother and their friend, they just kind of wanted to chill for the most part.
Yeah.
Sarah and her brother had done this before years ago. And so we were like, cool. And so we go off on our own. And we go first. We decide to go into the waiting room, the
Yeah,
doctor's
essentially the waiting
and it was
room.
kind of lame. We kind of sat there a little bit. We're like, you know what? We're all feeling something in the next room, which is the examination room. We're like, let's go in there. And in there's a bed, because it used to be a B&B as well.
Yeah.
But it's still set up, but they've got the old examination table on there, which was creepy within itself. There's this little tiny bathroom and things like that. But we're like, okay, we'd heard a lot of stuff that happened in this room, and so we're all just chilling there. Trisha and I are on either side of the bed. You can't put your feet on, so they're kicked off, and
Yeah.
Brad's at the end standing there. And just, the weight got heavy. Darkness had set in outside fully
Yeah.
at this point. The weight got heavy in there, and we got this thing. We were like, where are you? And the EVP thing said under the chair.
Yeah, it was so random.
Yeah, and so we're kind of looking around, and Brad's phone just goes whoop.
Yeah, it just goes, ooh, that popped loud. But yeah, the phone just shot over 5 feet. And I'm like, okay, give me my phone back.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, my foot gets pulled. I get tugged real quick, and at the same time, Trisha feels something brush across her arm.
And then something scratches the bedpost right next to me and Trisha.
Yeah, and then it just slams the bed.
Yep.
Boom! And I was like, wow!
Wow.
I'm freaking out because Brad Brad's not touching the bed.
No.
Trisha's not moving. We've got our flashlights on. They're on. This is not in the dark. This is happening. And we're just like, what the hell was that? Like, we're freaking out because the bed, I mean, all this happened within like minute. You know,
Yeah,
all
it
of
was
those
very
things we just
quick.
mentioned, all of those things happen. Boom, 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 boom. And we're like, okay, I think it's time to go.
Yeah. that was the beginning of what turned into a very intense night.
Yeah, and so, I mean, here's already, I mean, I've had experiences in all 3 of the rooms. Well, 4 rooms, but the third one didn't happen. But 3 of the 4 rooms I've had experiences so far. And we even go back into the waiting room. We're like, come on, we can get something in here.
It was just actually just a nice, cool place
Yeah,
to chill
it
for
was
a
just
minute.
a nice, cool place to chill. It really was.
So big black room was just.
Yeah, no, he
It
wasn't
wasn't that
there.
bad.
He wasn't even
And
there.
we find out later because he wasn't in there.
No.
He was hanging out in the
we
basement.
found him later
Yeah.
for sure.
Whew, lordy bagordy. So we decide to go upstairs. And feel free to chime in anytime or take over the story.
Yeah, so we go upstairs into the master bedroom that you and I went into the first time, Ed. And we decide that we're going to do some mirror gazing.
Which, by the way, I will not sit on the bed. Because
No.
that's where I saw the hand shoot out. My sister's
Yeah.
like, just sit on the bed. And I'm like, no.
I will say a cool debunk moment we had in there. We kept hearing the scratching sound every time the lights would go off.
Oh,
kept hearing it. We thought we were communicating with an intelligent spirit, and then like it's always near Stefan or behind Stefan. So eventually I'm like, Stefan, hand me your flashlight. And like we turn off the lights, and I barely press on his flashlight, and I can hear the same scratching. I'm like, it's a nervous twitch.
yeah.
So
and
Stefan's like nervous
my
twitch.
hands shake, especially when I'm scared. And I had no idea that it was me. And it was freaking me out every time, which meant my hands probably shaking even more so.
So there were some moments
it was-
that happened where
and
we're like,
we
okay.
were looking to debunk
Yeah,
everything. I
we
mean, that
looked
was
to
the
debunk
thing. As much
everything.
as we're believers, we don't want to believe the wrong thing.
No.
Right.
You know, and so I'm glad we found that because I was scared, man. Like, I
Yeah.
was really freaking out because I'm like, why is it behind me? Because this is when I finally sit on the bed.
Yeah,
Like,
this is where you
Trisha
finally sit on the
convinces me
bed.
to sit on the bed. But yeah, we
And-
decided to do the mirror gazing together all in the room because I refused to do it alone.
And this is where David joined us.
Yeah, David shows. Oh, yeah, because we're in there and David almost scared us.
Yeah. Then he comes in, he's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, mirror gazing. He's like, I'm down.
Yeah. And so the defining moment for me is like, I didn't really see anything when I was doing it, just kind of normal. You know, I do divination. So, I mean, I was kind of seeing things and could kind of make up my own thing. But the scary one was Brad. So we had also learned to kind of change.
Yup, me again.
We had also learned to change the position of the light to make it darker as well, where you're just seeing the fringes of your face, which that one...
Which we were told, be careful doing that because you'll see some crap.
Yeah, and I definitely saw some stuff that I could just justify as my brain moving or whatever. But Brad, so Brad's going, man. And first of all, this dude just looked like a Greek god, like Zeus or whatever, like, because the hair looked curly almost, and that beard, the way the light hit it and everything like that, whereas just this shadow looked like a Greek statue almost.
I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it looked like the features of my face were kind of like almost glow in the dark.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And maybe that's just your pasty white ginger skin.
It probably is.
But anyways, there's this point where like I'm looking at Brad's face in the mirror, and he turns his head and looks at me and looks back. But guess what? I was also seeing Brad's actual head in reality. It did not move.
Nope.
It was staring straight, and I'm like, Brad, did you just look at me? And he's like, no, bro. and I knew you hadn't because I didn't. It was not like just a half an inch turn. It was
So we're talking
like a full, like almost to the shoulder turn.
So we're talking about the reflection in the
Yes,
mirror.
the reflection in the
Turned his
mirror.
head and
Because
looked
I'm
at you.
looking at Brad's eyes in the mirror, and it turns full like to the shoulder to look right at me.
Did you see it do that?
I did see it do that.
It looked at me right in the eyes, and I'm like, Brad, you know, because I didn't see his head move.
Well, Stefan didn't even ask me if my head moved. He goes, did you see that? And I'm like, yep. And he was like, your head moved. I'm like, well, mine didn't.
Yeah. But we're all doing stuff, and it's crazy cool. And there's another mirror that's to the side, and all this stuff. And then Brad gets, you know,
Deeper into it
because you were the last one to go, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm the reason we left the room.
Yes. Well,
so
you and what happened after.
I allowed myself to relax. I went totally dark, and I just let my mind wander. And
this was where we had it as dark as we could get it, where you could just see the fringe of your face.
And in the reflection, I saw almost like my face catch fire. The fire moved up my face, and the face that was revealed was not my face. It was like a demonic face. So I jump back, and I'm like, oh, F that. And I stand up, and then all of a sudden, the closet door to the nursery we hear behind us, we hear click, click. We're like, we thought it was Sarah's brother in there because we hadn't seen him
we
in a
thought
bit.
he was pranking us. And so, but by the way, I mean, it slowly opened, and then it opened more. Like, it
then
paused,
it,
and then it opened more and opened all the way.
Oh, my God.
And we were like, oh, my God. So we go in there, and we're like, Stu? He was not in there. And so Brad and I are checking the door. It is not easily open.
I had to punch it to get it to open without actually turning the knob.
Like, it was a hassle to get open. And to tell you the truth, I mean, it's like, if it was so easy to open, every time we would have, because I took a ball from there, from the nursery, which we'll talk about later. I took a ball from there, and that closet nursery room, every time we would go to check, because we set the ball to see if it would move.
Yeah, it never moved.
We kept going back to check. The door was never open.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it's easily opened with people walking through and everything. So that just to verify that, it only opens when people are in there.
Yeah.
Whew, man, it was creepy. So then...
Rachel's room.
Yeah, we go to Rachel's room. And so we go into Rachel's room, which was kind of lame at first, right?
Well, you had the rocking chair rock next to you all by itself.
Yeah, but I still am skeptical. I think maybe because I hit the ground hard. I mean, because I sat on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody made me feel bad about
that
it.
one's
So
possibly debunkable.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say maybe not. But it did rock. This little tiny like doll chair rock.
I tried to get a spirit possible on the outside of the house to rock in the rocking chair. But nothing happened with that.
But
though.
Rachel's room is filled with dolls. Everyone gives her all these dolls.
Well, first of all, that freaked you out anyway.
Oh yeah, I don't like dolls and I don't like clowns, and they were both in
Both
there.
were in there. There was a very judgy doll too.
Yeah, there was the real judgy jester doll. Oh no, the one on the doll on the desk. Yeah, she was always looking at it.
It's as if somebody told this house what Stefan doesn't like.
Yeah.
Said dolls and clowns and put them all together in the same room.
Well, one of the things we figured out later is while we were up there's 2 beach balls. This is the room where beach balls are supposed to move. Mm-hmm. And in it, we had turned the ceiling fan on, and this beach ball shot across the room, and we're like, oh, well, it was the ceiling fan. But the other ball didn't move. Mm-hmm. And then later, Brad and I both watched this documentary. Brad hits me up, and he's like, dude, think about how that ball moved, because they say in that room, if the fan's on or anything like that, the ball just kind of rolls over.
Yeah.
But a ghost is it hits it like a ball, because it shot across the room.
Like a little kid had come up and punched it.
Like, and thinking back on it, it's like, that fan would not have done that. It wasn't on high, it was on low. It's like, I mean, it like bonk and shot across the room.
Because you could audibly hear a pop noise when it flew.
And so looking back on it, we were like, uh-oh, we didn't even realize it. So, but anyway, so we're sitting there, we put that back up, we turn off the thing. We're all sitting on the floor just because it's hot in that room. Go figure, which is, the room where she died from burns.
It was very hot in there.
It was very, very hot in there. And one of the things that's said that happens in the house and in that room is scratches and burns. Mm-hmm. Like, there are so many pictures of people with scratches and burns and things like that. And, that's kind of one of those things I'm like, until it happened to me in that room. And all of a sudden...
Did you get scratched?
Yes, I have pictures. And is that the big one or the small one?
That's the big one.
And, so we...
Yeah, I'm looking at it. He's got red welts, like, on his neck, behind his ear.
And we'll post the pictures to our social media as well. So
yeah,
you guys can see 'em.
both sides of my neck. It didn't feel like someone scratching. It felt like someone laid burning strips on my neck on both sides. And they immediately were like flashlighting it and watching it get redder and redder and redder. And it just felt...
start welting, too.
Yeah, and it just felt like it was burning. And, and then Sarah and Stu, I think, came up, or Julia.
Yeah, it was Sarah and Paul came up.
Oh, Sarah and Paul, that's right, came up, and so they're hanging out, and of course nothing happens. As soon as they get up there, nothing happens.
So I want to just give a quick little thing to everybody out there. If you go into a haunted house wanting something to happen, if it's an intelligent haunting, nothing will happen. Paul experienced that because he wanted it too bad. He was trying too hard to experience something. If you're not trying to experience things and you're just in the moment, that's when the crazy stuff happens.
Mm-hmm. And
maybe that's why this stuff doesn't happen to me, because I sort of go in looking for it.
I never look for it; it just shows up.
Yeah, there's kind of like a middle ground that you want to sit in, and that's what I did. I didn't shield. I put myself in a position that's like, okay, if something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's okay, because I already believe. So it's like, but I would love some pudding. So,
yeah, exactly.
And so we get out of there, and we quickly just go upstairs, but we come back down.
Yeah, it's like we go and we're like, oh, we'll come back here later.
It was hot too,
Yeah.
and so
You want to be on the ground floors where it's cooler.
yeah, and so we then head over to the servants' quarters, which is also a staircase that goes down into the
main
kitchen.
kitchen, yeah.
And we hung out in there for a little bit. Nothing was really happening, but they say a lot of activity happens in this giant 2-door closet.
Yeah.
And so we're like, all right, let's go in here. And so we split up, and I think it was just me, Trish, and David that went in there.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, and it's creepy. I mean, it's a very small, it's like this slanted wall because it's the very, very top of where the roof is. So it's a very small closet. And I'm standing in there, man, and we're like, wow, nothing's happening. And we're like, man, I really expected this. And all of a sudden, I get shoved in the back as hard as possible and slammed my head against the wall.
Oh.
And I'm looking for David or Trisha, and they're further than an arm's length away from me. And I was like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, because me and Paul went in there right after that, and like we stood in there for about 5 minutes, and I felt a disbalance, but I just chalked it up to the boards aren't that steady in there.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was what's calling me to
Yeah, well, I
sway.
definitely felt a full hard push directly in the middle of the back because it's where I go to the chiropractor to get popped. Like it's that right where that nubby knob is
Nubby knob.
on your spine. That's where I got hit. Boom, and it slammed my head
This
into the
episode
wall.
Sponsored by Nubby
Did your
Knob.
back feel better after that? Or?
No, it was not a good chiropractor. Whew,
No,
man.
I just remember like in that room there was like a cabinet that was like right across. I kept fixating on that.
Yeah,
because it seemed like that.
it
seemed
kept
like the
opening.
door.
It
yeah.
kept opening. Never when we were
You,
in there.
you were sitting closer to it than I was. I mean, did you notice it? 'Cause
I did.
Because
Yeah.
I it's not that I would hear anything. I would sort of sense something. I'm just like,
There was definitely something there, and every time I went back into that room, that door was open.
Yeah.
I just kept flashing my lights. Like I swear that thing is opening.
Yep. So then we decide, okay, it's getting late. I mean, we had come back downstairs. We had did some tarot readings and
It was
some
about
different
2 in the
things.
morning.
Yeah, it took kind of a mini break, and then we went to the basement, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this was a good one. So we go down to the basement, and in the basement, nothing was happening. David's hanging with us, and nothing's happening. Like, it's just lame, but it's nice and cool. And we're expecting, and they've got this thing where they found this axe, and so they're trying to say that they, somebody killed their brother, and I'm kind of like, whatever. And but earlier, I forgot during the tour, I had seen, I think you did too, saw something black move.
Yeah,
This is
kinda
one of
like
those
scatter.
basements, this very standard Kentucky, Indiana type basement where it's like there's a small area, and then there's like
A crawl space.
yeah,
like,
crawl space area that's like got dirt and different things. It's
Yeah.
weird. I've only ever seen that in Kentucky and
And
Indiana.
supposedly there's a woman buried in one of those crawl spaces.
Because yeah, I mean it's literally just dirt.
Yeah.
There. And anyways, so like I'm expecting to see the creeper or something like that. Well, David's like, well, this is dumb. I'm gonna go sleep. And so he leaves us and goes to sleep, and all heck goes down. And we're
Yeah.
just sitting there, man.
So what went down in the basement?
We're about to tell you.
Yeah, so we're sitting there and we're talking to it and we're trying to run the apps and the box, but nothing was happening. Like it was pretty lame. Like in fact, this is when the ghost box started
Pegging.
not working.
Yeah, just like not
Like
doing anything.
all of a sudden, all my ghost apps just stopped working. All of them. I'm signed into the Wi-Fi, and Facebook's working. Everything else is working. I had like 6 apps on there. All of them weren't working. Like all the ghost box ones, they were all not working. So we said, all right, let's turn this off and let's do some EVP. And so we turn it off and we just ask questions. And we can all of a sudden, man, we're asking questions. And next to Brad is like this figure that I see. Like all of a sudden I see this big black bulging shadow figure, which I assume now must have been big black.
Yeah.
I mean, it was menacing and tall. It was harder for me to see, but Trisha's like, oh my God, do you see that? And I'm like, yes. And we both see this figure back there and all this stuff. And then we're like, okay, we need to know. Give us a sign if you're here. And Ed, I kid you not, all of a sudden we start hearing breathing. Heavy breathing. Like, because when you breathe in, it's not loud, but that exhale.
and it was circling us.
Yeah, and it's moving around us.
Oh my
And I have
God.
it. It's recorded. It's on there. What we
You
heard.
got that?
I do, but having to try to find it, we don't have time. I'll save it for Creepy Catch-Up next week if I can find it. But you can hear it breathing. And it's not people upstairs breathing because we're not under where people are sleeping.
Right.
We're not there. But, I mean, and it was loud. And we're like, oh my God. And it's just getting louder and it's moving around us. And then all of a sudden, the right side of my body gets numb, which becomes a new thing that starts happening to me as soon as I start picking up on ghosts. Like, my body gets numb on a certain side and I can feel it next to me. And right at that time, Brad goes, he's standing right next to you, Stefan.
Yeah, this is when I see the face. I've seen it every night since that haunting. But what do you call it when you start hearing like a spirit's words in your head?
Like clairsentience?
Yeah, so I started having that for the first time ever. And I think it's because I was with you guys, it kind of unlocked.
Yeah, and he was like, what do I do with this? And we were like, trust it, tell us, what does it say?
It's like leave. It just kept saying leave, and we were like, we're going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, we had already felt that way, you know? And I'm sorry, that was not really clairsentient. I guess it's, I don't know.
Clairvoyance, maybe?
It's kind of clairvoyant.
I heard ghost words in my head.
But yeah, clairvoyant would probably be closer to that. But yeah, it was just like, it was crazy. And we felt it and we were like, we got to get out of here, man. And like, we all felt it and we just ducked. We were like, we didn't mean you any harm. We're gone. We'll see you later. Bye. And so we're like, all right, it's time for the attic. Yeah. And we get up to the attic. We go to the red room. And the red room was just frightening. I mean, my God, the stuff that happened in there. Like, Brad and I are literally seeing the exact same things.
We're watching the same entity do the same things, and we're telling each other what we're seeing. And we even say it at the exact same time.
This thing is pinching my legs and smacking my arms and hitting Trisha, hitting Brad, punched him in the chin.
I think this was the creeper.
Yeah, we think this might have been the creeper, and this is up where the portal, and Brad and I could see the portal. It was like this white mist, like, swirling around. Like, it was like almost like a hurricane, and I even saw like an eye, like, of a hurricane almost, like this portal. And you know, like, Trisha's saying that they're feeling like that this is a portal, and there was a spirit that felt stuck in there.
I kept seeing faces.
Yeah, faces.
That I did not recognize.
Everything, and we're all seeing things at the same time, and we're like, all right, let's get out of here.
This is when David rejoins us, too.
Yeah, David's rejoined us at this point. He woke up and rejoined us, and he's seeing stuff. I mean, it's just nuts, but we're like, okay, time's running out because we're getting close to 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, and so...
Yeah, which I think we might have had a missing time event because I don't know how we went from 2 a.m. We were only in the basement 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's 4 a.m.
4 a.m. We were not down there that long.
No, so we have a missing time event.
I forgot about that. But yeah, so then we go to this middle room. It's this, like... space that shouldn't be a space. Yeah. I mean, there's a wall and it's got like an odd shape cut out of it.
Room.
But there's like this old-timey bed spring in there that's in there from the original house. It's like, don't sit in there. And it's just this tiny nothing of a space, and it's got a window in there. And I mean, the second you walk in, you're just like, ooh. And a lot of the spirits, the figures that were in the red room followed us because David's like, we could just feel them all out in the hallway. But there was one in this room that we felt. And my sister and I are just like holding each other, like, and it's hot. I mean, it's hot.
But our bodies are cold. It's the craziest
thing.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, Trisha and I get freezing. And we feel it walk through us. Like, both of us, like, get goosebumps, and we're both like, ah! And Brad's like, it just walked through you. And we're like, I know! Like, it was crazy,
I could see this tall form moving through us.
Gosh.
I think David saw it, too.
David saw it, too. Like, I mean, everything, this is these pudding moments, because it wasn't like 10 minutes later, oh, yeah, I saw that, too.
No.
It was, oh, my God, there's something. We're like, we know! Like, we could feel it walk through us, but we felt it say,
I think
get
this
out
is
of
the
here.
point where it started trying to possess one of us.
Yeah, David.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, we got to move. We got to move. And so we're like, okay, it's getting closer.
Hold on, it wanted to possess David?
It was trying to.
Yeah, all of us were feeling like this numb, like you could feel it. Like it felt like something trying to take over. Seriously, I'm not even joking. That's the only way I could feel it. It's like, it was like shortness of breath, your body gets numb, and then it would pass. Like it would pass through.
Like it would try to get into you, but when you would lock it out, it would go to the next one.
Yeah, and it kind of sat a little heavier with David, and David's like, we got to go now.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we're running out of time. Let's do the seance room.
We weren't even going to do the seance room.
Yeah, we weren't.
We were like, let's leave, and then we're like...
But we felt it walk through the wall, remember?
No, that's what it was.
Yeah.
We were standing in that room, and we come out, and I see it go through the wall and move the curtain, and I'm like, it just went to the seance room. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I look around the corner and see that there's no actual wall, it's just a curtain, and I'm like, it's in the seance room. They're like, guess we're going into the seance room.
Yeah, and by the way, at this point I have the blue ball with me.
Yeah.
Like, because we wanted it to move up in the red room. Nothing happened.
Yeah, it hadn't been moving or
I'd been
anything.
carrying it around with me ever since we went upstairs. And because it never moved in
It's
the
the
closet.
missing player in this game.
Yeah, and so we go into the seance room, and we're sitting around, and on the table, there's, like, cushions on the ground and 2 chairs. And on the table is this, like, tray mirror, and it's got a little dragon statue, had 4 pennies, and little lights that didn't work.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the things that they tell us in the house, there's everywhere you see these little change piles.
Yeah.
And they say that that's something that the ghosts do, is leave little change piles, or, like, money will get thrown at you and blah, blah, blah. And we had joked how, A, the ball never moved, and B, we never saw any change, like, show up, right?
Yeah. It was just already kind of
Yeah,
there.
it's just there. So we just kind of move the mirror, and we're kind of playing around and things like that. We set the blue ball on the mirror. We're like, move the ball. Nothing's happening, because I had to move everything off that mirror. So the 4 coins are just sitting off on the table. And we're like, move the ball. Nothing. Trisha's like, it doesn't like the light.
Yeah, she started hearing it and saying it doesn't like the light.
And let me preface this by saying, if you even, like, moved your fingers like this, it would creak. And that was just me sliding my forefinger, or my middle finger and my thumb together.
Yeah.
Like, everything in that room would creak.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sitting on a chair, Trisha's sitting on the chair, you guys are there. I mean, everything creaked. If you moved your eyeballs, it creaked, okay? We're sitting there in the dark, and the rain starts coming. And
The
it's
dark.
beautiful.
That was interesting.
Yeah, because we're calling it. We're like, come on, we know you're here. Show us something. Do something. Give us a sign. And the rain starts pouring and all this stuff. And then it, like, the rain
Not in the room, but
yeah, no,
outside the house.
on the roof. And then it lightens up, and we're like, okay, well, and somebody said something like, show us. And all of a sudden, boom, you hear the ball hit the edge of the mirror, bounce across, and shoot across the room, and then just stop. And we scream, we turn the lights on, and the ball is sitting across the room from us.
Oh my gosh.
No one hit this ball. Because,
And-
like I said, if you even, like, just flared your nostrils, it creaked. It was dead silent. The rain had stopped. It was dead silence. And this thing just
decided to play kickball.
Wow.
But that was not the end of
no, it was not the end.
It wasn't.
Because at this
No.
point, we're feeling, and, you know, all of us psychics are like, okay, it's like, get out of here. Get out of our
it.
space.
It's
This
the
is
best
our
way
space.
I can describe it is being in the darkest dark you can possibly be in, and still seeing something darker than the dark you're seeing. And if you've ever been to New Orleans, the humidity that's down there, after the rain had stopped, the room had cooled down up to that point. When the rain stopped, the humidity just started piling in. It felt like there were 20 people in this room that barely fit 4.
Yeah. This thing didn't just... Okay, and this tray comes up about a solid 2.5 inches. So it can't just easily roll over it and then roll onto the floor, bounce.
No.
It goes bam, bam, and then hits the step on the other side of the room and just sits. It doesn't bounce back. It doesn't do anything. It just sits. And this is a rubber bounce ball. Like, that's about the... I don't know, about the size of a grapefruit.
About the size of a softball.
Yeah, about the size of a softball, but it's rubber bouncy ball. And we're like, oh my God! And so we're like, all right, let's see what else we can get it to do, because we're running out of time. And so we're sitting there and we're chit-chatting and, you know, we're like, come on, show us another sign. Do something else. We wanted the ball to move again. We're like, move the ball.
This is when Trisha goes, it's in my ear and it's yelling, get out.
Yeah,
And
it's-
we're not listening to it. We go dark again.
And then all of a sudden, a coin just, like, falls from the ceiling, like, 8 feet from us?
Yeah,
And-
right in front of the table.
Bam! Like, just hits the ground. Like,
We were not expecting that.
and like I said, dead silent. This coin. So we flip on the light, and over by the steps, so like 4, 5, 6 feet away from us, is this penny just sitting in the middle of the floor. And Brad's like, how many pennies do we have on the table?
Because we had 4 when we had started.
Like, because we want to make sure that it wasn't one of us. We look, 4 pennies.
So now we have a mysterious 5th penny.
And this penny, even if it was one of us, there's no way, because it wasn't like it throwed and arced, but you could hear.
There was no bounce.
Yeah, it just went like it dropped from the ceiling, like out of nowhere.
Yeah. Because if you drop a penny right now from any distance, when it hits, it's going to give a little bounce. You're going to hear a residual bounce. This had none of that. It just was a flat boom.
It was nuts. But yeah, that's essentially our story.
That's when I went home.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was about 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, Brad took off 5:30. I wrote down all my experiences in there and talked to them a bit and stuff like that. But that's our story. And I hate to do this, but we are absolutely out of time. But man, like, just wanted to say, please check out Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana. You can go to whispersestate.com. That you can book and bring a group. Group rates are the best.
I'm ready to go back.
Yeah, you can, search. They've been on all sorts of different, like, haunted shows and things like that. I absolutely am ready to go back.
Yeah.
Ed, I want you to spend a whole night there with us.
I would love to if we could find a day when I didn't have to work the day
Just
after.
tell him he ain't coming in.
But I'll tell you what, if there was ever...
If I have vacation time coming up, then I'd be able to do it.
Boom.
If there was ever any bit of a skeptic left in me, it's gone.
Yeah, it's out the window.
So, but we got to get out of here. But please check out Whispers Estate, Mitchell, Indiana. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening as usual. Make sure to send in any listener stories you have to fearscapepodcast@gmail.com.
Especially if you've been at Whispers
Yeah, if you've been
Estate.
at Whispers
been
Estate, please send those in. We would love to hear from you. And big thanks to Gwen and Sandra. And on that, I've been Stefan. I'll catch you on the flip side.
I'm Ed. I'll see you on Monday.
And Brad's back, baby. And as always, hold those blankies extra tight.
Good night, folks.
I'm so glad you were able to join us for that horrifying discussion. I hope they didn't frighten you too much. Tune in next week for even more research into the nightmarish and haunting creeps and spooks that we tell ourselves don't exist, but we know they do. Make sure you have your blankets, that you hold them extra tight. Next time on FearScape.
Hey, blanket huggers, Stefan here from FearScape Paranormal Podcast, and do we have a scary good deal for you right now? If you head over to fearscapepodcast.com/Gamefly, you can get a 30-day free trial Gamefly subscription on us. Now, if you're not familiar with Gamefly, it's a game and movie rental service where you can play the hottest video games for systems like the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, or even the PS4. You can get up to 2 games or movies out at a time, and you can do that an unlimited amount of times a month. Josh and I love to play our game systems, and I am really enjoying the Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. And if you're like me, games are too expensive to buy and beat in the same weekend. Well, with Gamefly, you can get it and keep a game as long as you need. Then you just send it back and get the next game on your list. So head on over to fearscapepodcast.com/Gamefly today and give it a try.